Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Laura. Training camp is underway at Flowery Branch, and two things have stood out more than everything else. First being the defensive line. Both of these things should excite Falcons fans because the Falcons haven't had a good defensive line in damn near 2 decades. I mean, they've been outside the top 10 in sacks. The defensive line made a ton of additions: Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree. They re-signed Lorenzo Carter. They get David Onyemata. And the first guy that said something was Grady Jarrett. When Grady Jarrett speaks, most people listen. He's the leader of this locker room. It doesn't matter who came in. He is the leader of the Atlanta Falcons. He said, I don't talk no BS. Like, I ain't trying to puff our feathers. He's like, iron sharpens our iron. I know that offensive line is good, but we're going to beat them up every day in training camp. And that alone got me excited, especially the way that he was talking about it. I don't talk no BS. Like, this is real. Like, we got a good group here, and we're going to make it competitive, and we're going to be good come week 1.
Yeah, just to kind of give some context to the situation, last year, Taquan Graham was the Falcons' second best defensive lineman next to Grady Jarrett. And he was a big reason why Grady Jarrett was so successful in that first half. Taquan Graham went down with a season-ending injury, and Jarrett's numbers fell off a cliff. And it was just because, Graham demanded attention from the offensive line. He's going to be in a rotational role this year. He's not going to start, that's for sure. That's the improvement that's been made along the defensive line. And I talked about it today in an article on the site. Go check it out, sportstalkatl.com. They had a flurry of moves, including Eddie Goldman. He's not going to be with the team. He signed with the team last summer and then abruptly retired about 2 weeks after the signing. He returned this season. And last season, it was kind of a detrimental blow. We were like, damn, we're going to really need him. He was going to be a significant piece along the defensive front. Now, it doesn't even really matter. Yes, sure, we would have loved to have him there, but he was going to be nothing more than a 15% guy. He was only going to take about 15, 20% of the defensive snaps. Timmy Horn, an undrafted free agent last year, could do what Eddie Goldman did and more, and he was cheaper. So it's been a whirlwind. It's by far the deepest group Atlanta has had. I mean, I don't even know how long. It's been that long. It's by far the deepest group. And I've said it time and time again. You could go look at the articles. I wrote it all. I nerded out on the numbers. Grady Jarrett is going to be in for a career year. Double-digit sacks, all-pro, Pro Bowl. The guy is the real deal. He's going to show it it just so happens that he's just played on the worst defenses ever during his career. That he's just been a one-man wrecking crew. He's had virtually no help.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been talking all offseason about how Grady Jarrett's in for a career year, and some people have been down on him, like PFF and stuff like that, and kind of sleeping on him. I don't think he's lost a step. I think there just hasn't been a lot of help around him. He's been asked to do way too much, and now that's not going to be the case this year. Another guy that pointed to the defensive line is, I think it was Miles Garrett from Fox 5. Shout out Miles. Asked Drake London, is there one group in particular that looks a lot different in training camp than in years past? Or I guess he's only in his second year, but then the last year, and he pointed straight to the defensive line. He's like, that group's different. And for Falcons fans, I don't know. That's music to the ears to me and to every Falcons fan. It should be, because like we said, this defensive line has needed help for a long time. They finally had money. They talked about it before free agency, how, hey, this is a group that we're going to need to bolster. And they went out and bolstered it. And now this group's already kind of starting to turn heads in training camp. And I'm excited for week 1 because I think, like you said, Grady Jarrett is in for a career year. But I think just having that depth and just rotating guys from first to third down, different guys, doesn't matter. We're all bringing pressure. We're all stopping the run. And a lot of these guys can do a little bit of both. It's not just they're like one specialists and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to see what this group can do together for the first time.
That's a really good point that I think a lot of people don't really recognize is from the edge to the interior. Lorenzo Carter is one of the most well-rounded edges. Sure, he's not going to put up double-digit sacks, but just like you said, the guy can lock down the edge. He can defend the run. Grady Jarrett, same way. David Onyemata, same way. Calais Campbell, same way. That's a really good point that this isn't just, we're going to stop the run and hopefully, play good pass defense on the back end. No. We're going to stop the run, and then we're going to come get you. This is going to be a really, 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 really exciting year for Falcons fans. It starts with the defensive line. And don't forget about Kaden Ellis. Sure, on early downs, he's going to be in a traditional linebacker role next to Troy Anderson. But on third downs, watch out for him. I mean, this guy's going to be a Swiss Army knife for Ryan Nielsen. I'm so excited. It's some semblance of a pass rush. We've been dead last in sacks and pass yards and points. And it's going to be different. It might not be a top 10 unit, but it'll be better than league average, sniffing top 10.
So we'll end it on this. One guy, one new guy, because we obviously think Grady Jarrett is going to have a career year with all this. One new guy that you're most excited to see in this group, out of the whole group, pass rush, defensive line, whichever one new guy that you're most excited to see this season.
I'll say Kaden Ellis. We both went to LSU. We have lots of Saints fans, and I talk to them all the time. And one of the biggest guys that they weren't too upset with David Onyemata. They were not happy that Kaden Ellis signed with the Falcons. He's going to make a name for himself. Not a lot of Falcons fans know who he is, but he will eventually make a name for himself. Yep. Not just he's going to rush the passer, he's going to defend the run, and he's going to defend the pass. The guy's just a Swiss Army knife, and we got him under contract for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't want to steal your guy because that's kind of, I think that's what everyone's kind of thinking. I mean,
you can take him. I'll give you another one.
We talked about it previously about him leading the team in sacks. I don't think that would surprise anybody. I don't think that would surprise anybody. I'll go his teammate David Onyemata. I think having those two wrecking balls in the middle, taking pressure off Grady Jarrett. David Onyemata has been one of the best interior pass rushers. I'll go him, and obviously I can't even forget about Calais Campbell because even though he's older. It's hard. I still think he's got a little juice left in the tank. Yeah. He's a future Hall of Famer. To see what he can do, especially in his new position that he played in Jacksonville, where he had those career years where he was a sack specialist. But the entire group as a whole is going to be so much different. It's going to be a breath of fresh air in Atlanta, and it's going to take so much pressure off this secondary that still has some holes. Coming up after the break, we're going to continue with these training camp notes, these standouts. The rookies are making a name for themselves early on.